everyone. If there's one thing in our life which can completely mess up our plans, it is the emergencies which happen in our life. Though we can never be completely prepared of such eventualities which happen in our life, but we can ensure that we can be sufficiently prepared for it. Though we have already spoken about how to actually save for these emergencies in this video, but now I thought it's extremely important for us to understand how can we really plan for emergencies. Now, in this video, we are going to tell you top 6 things that you can do to at least try and be prepared of any situation like this, which can reduce the problem or the suffering that you go through in such situations. I'm Swati Singhania and I'm unlocking financial literacy for everyone here. So what is an emergency? Emergency is basically a situation which you are not prepared for or which you not expected to happen in our life. And 2020 has been the biggest example of emergencies. None of us were actually prepared for a year of lockdown. In 2019, had someone spoken about that for 4 months, 5 months we'll be locked in our houses, it will be the joke of the century, right? But it happened. And the people who survived this peacefully are the people who were prepared for emergencies. Now today I want to talk of some very difficult topics which are mostly avoided in all families. But I think it's very, very important for us to accept the fact that none of us can escape death. It is going to happen. It is the reality which is going to happen. The later it happens, the better it is. But it is going to come to all of us. So what can you really do so that you are prepared for any such eventuality which happens in your family? What are the things you should keep note of? But let me tell you a story which made me think of this situation, or which compelled me to talk about it to you guys. So recently a friend of mine, she lost her father. Now the father was in 50s and obviously none of them actually expected for him to part away so soon. And he was the main person when it comes to the family business. And she being the only child, when, with the demise of the father, the whole responsibility of the business fell upon her. Now, not only was she dealing with extreme emotional stress, because she was not prepared or she didn't know how to handle the business, this was an extra or rather let me say it was another bigger burden on her to handle the financial management of her family. So though they are decently well-to-do and they don't have to worry about their daily expenses, but obviously they can't let go the family business for vain. She had to keep aside her emotional trauma and start focusing completely on the financial management of the business and the family. So in my that small 5-minute talk with her, these are the top 6 things which I mentioned her, and I think it's extremely important for us also to take a note of that. So what is the first thing? The first thing which you should know is where are the investments of the family and the members. So when the investments are done, so what could be the investments? It could be fixed deposits, it could be mutual funds, it could be equity shares, it could also be, any gold paper investments or silver paper investments that your family must have done. Now, in most of the cases, any investments which are done in the names of almost all family members. So what you should do is you should have a file. It could be a hard copy, or it could be an Excel sheet or a Word document, or maybe it can be stored in a pen drive. But remember, the pen drive has to be kept at a very solid place. Now that should have the details of the investments in the name of each family member. So you can have one page for every family member. So these are the properties in the name of Mr. X. These are the shares in the name of Mr. Y. And what is the demat account number? And where is the demat account? So it is with security, Kotak Security, ICICI Securities, wherever it is, write that. So write the basic details. If anything happens to the main member of the family who basically takes care of all the investments, there is a backup document to fall back to. That's the first thing that you should first of all do, which would cover maximum and the biggest chunk of the problem. Now, the second point is more of an improvisation of the first point. When you're preparing this list for each family member, ensure that you write their bank account details. So if there's one bank account for each family member, that bank account, the name of the bank, what is the login ID and passwords of that. Now, this has to be kept at a very safe place. If this paper goes into the hands of the wrong people, it can be a difficult place. So what you can do is you can write it down on an Excel sheet. That Excel sheet can be mailed to one of the email accounts. Now, the password of that email account can be available to all family members. So even if a wrong person lands up seeing these papers, he would not know which Gmail or which email ID it has been mailed to and what has been the password. So, this is like, let me call it a family secret that all of us should know about. Now, let's talk of the third. So, I have been speaking about insurance and how critical insurance is for everyone. So, the main earning member of the family should have a life insurance in his name. And the balance members of the family should have at least a health insurance in all their names. Now, all the policies and the details of the policies should be kept in the same Excel sheet I have just mentioned about. This will give you the idea that that's my mother document to fall back on. As per a report of 2018, in total of 23 insurance companies have an unclaimed premium amount of 15,000 crores. Now, this figure has been growing at about 25%. So that means by 2020, this amount swollen up to anywhere around 25,000 crores. Imagine what is that amount of money. You don't want that if you have been paying for premium, the policy goes unclaimed. So please ensure that the policy numbers and the details of those policies is written in one Excel sheet, which is the mother document, or it can become a great reference point for the family members. Now, all these top 3 points were relating to the mother Excel sheet or mother Word document, which can be emailed to one of the email IDs. Let me talk of the other 3 things which are not so relevant for this mother document now. Now, the fourth thing which is important is where are there any family jewelries? Where are they stored? A lot of families in India take a safe in one of the banks and they store the jewelry and precious metals there. Are you aware which is that safe, in which bank, in which branch, and who is the account holder of that safe? Remember this, the safe deposit or this can only be opened by the person whose name it is on. So if it is in the name of my mother, I cannot open it. My mother has to go and open it only. That is allowed. And in case anything happens to the person in whose name the safe is on, you can always give a document to the bank and transfer it in your name. But for that, you should know where the safe is. So where are the family jewels saved? Which bank? Which safe deposit? Which branch? This should be aware to every family member. You may or may not give the account numbers. Again, it's good to have the account numbers, but at least you should have which branch it belongs to, so that when you go and approach that branch and say, in this name the safe was booked, they will give you the access to it if you have sufficient documents. Now let's talk of the fifth point. Have you heard of something called WILL, which is will? What is a will? Will is basically a document which a person writes while that person is living, and saying that in case anything happens to him, or in case of his death, all his properties will pass on to whom and in what ratio. So you should know if there is a will of your family members or not, and especially the important family members. Because in case there is no will, that property will have to be distributed as per the laws, which is mostly given to all family members, children, and any beneficiary who could actually claim on it. So it's extremely important for you to write your will while you are alive, because you don't want your kids to fight about your property at least. And you'll be surprised to know our Indian courts are busy not because so much of criminal cases. It's actually busy mostly because of family disputes. Family disputes are the biggest chunk of cases that happen in our country, and they are the ones which consume maximum of our court timings. So if you are worrying that why does our Indian courts are so slow, or if you think the decisions don't happen in our country, it's family disputes which take most of the times. As you must have seen, it goes on and on for years. You don't want that property to get into such mess. So please ensure you put a will into place. Now, if you are someone who is very young watching this, please ensure that your parents, your grandparents, your uncles and aunts put a will into place and they register it. The registry cost of the will is not very high, but if they register it, it becomes a valid document. And you can change it at any point of time. It would take a few hundreds to change it. So today I may feel I want to give all my property to a charity. Tomorrow, if I think I want to give it to a particular person, I can change it. Nothing stops you from changing your will if you change your mind. But at least whatever is your mind today, ensure to write it on a will. And don't forget to hire a lawyer for getting it registered, because obviously they will get it done properly. Now this point mostly doesn't come to our mind. It is not related to any document. If you belong to a family which runs on a business, please ensure every member of your family, including the wives, including the mothers, and including the children who are probably above the age of 16, 17, know the basics of your family business. I also heard of a case recently, and this was because of COVID, that this disease took away 3 male family members of that family. Now that family was only left with the mother and the daughter, and they were not aware of the family business at all. The first thought which came to my mind was, I hope they know at least the basics of the family business. What is purchased? Where is it purchased? How is it paid? How is it sold? What are the basic margins? How do you transport it? How do you manufacture it? The basics of it. So don't keep the women of your family and your children of your family away from it, because you never know what situation may happen. My effort of this video is to ensure that we can be sufficiently prepared, though we can never be fully prepared for an event like this, but let's ensure that we are sufficiently prepared to handle in case lightning strikes. I'm waiting to hear from you guys as to which of the 6 things you implemented and which do you think is most practical for your family. Do not forget to like, subscribe and share this video with your family members, because it is going to help everyone in their life. I'm Swati Singhania and see you guys in the next video.